Great. Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me clearly. Today we will be talking about European starlings, which was my assigned animal for the biomedical research article project. The scientific name for the European starling is Sturnus vulgaris, and I actually really enjoyed researching these birds. They don't seem very interesting at first, but they actually are very interesting. So let's get started. Let's start off with some anatomical features just to get a good idea. European starlings are classified as a medium-sized black songbird with short triangular wings, and they have spotted plumage that appears a beautiful green-purple iridescent color. It's super pretty. They have short tails that are designed to help them fly in close proximity to one another. Also, the short triangular wings help with that too. And I'm sure you've seen them flying in huge groups, like in the picture I have up here on the right. Those huge groups are referred to as murmurations. And there can be up to 750,000 starlings in a murmuration during migration seasons. So that is pretty cool. All right, continuing on with some more anatomical features. European starlings utilize diverse and complex vocalizations to communicate with each other. They're not as complex as your parakeets or your cockatiels and other pet birds. Like they can't actually say human words, but they can memorize sounds from their surrounding environments and implement them in their own calls to communicate with each other. A couple examples of these: car alarms, sirens, and even human speech patterns. They have also been used as subjects of research in the evolution of human language studies, which is also super cool. And I have a video here. Hopefully it will play. All right. Moving on to sexing. Um, in order to tell these apart, you can look at the difference between the males and females. Males have a deep brown colored iris, while females have a slightly lighter colored yellow ring around their outside iris. Males also have a more glossy, oily sheen to their plumage or feathers, and this is to attract mates. Non-breeding adults are lighter brown in color, while breeding adults are darker, and you can see that in the picture I've added here. But if you're just looking at them from farther away and you can't really tell up close, the key most common way to sex them is by their beak or bill color, and this is also referred to as the gape. Males will have a more bluish tint to their gape, while females have a light fleshy pink colored gape. All right, moving on to environmental enrichment and husbandry. There's been so many studies done on European starlings just because of how invasive they are in the United States, and scientists have concluded that enrichment can, number one, reduce fear responses, two, enhance exploratory behaviors like nesting and rooting, and that can even modify adrenocortical sensitivity on a biomedical level. Basically, this is referring to stimulation equals less stress, and that can go for any animal, not just European starlings. Enrichment is anything that can be added to their captive habitat in order to create a more complex environment for them. Diverse food items, jingly toys that make noise, and perches. But the most important form of enrichment comes from the interaction between chicks and their mothers when they're first born. That's super important that they're not taken away from their mothers until they are old enough. As I mentioned before, they are super invasive. They were brought to the US in 1809 and released in New York City Central Park. They can easily spread and populations can grow rapidly due to their ability to adapt to any habitat. They reproduce at a very rapid rate and they're not afraid to nest in close proximity to humans and other animals. Also, why they pick up on human language and implement that into their own calls because they are not afraid of humans. They actually reach their highest population densities in human-dominated landscapes, like around your houses, around large animal production, farms, and etc. And the main topic of my biomedical research article was the study of European starlings as disease vectors. They've been linked to one of the main causes of damages to crops, fields, grain, and prepared livestock feeds. They're common vectors of numerous pathogens, and some of them are even zoonotic to humans, so that's of great importance. They can spread viral, bacterial, and fungal diseases to large concentrated animal feeding operations, like dairy or beef cattle farms. And contamination occurs when the feces of an infected bird gets into food and water sources. So examples of this can be, large grain barrels without lids. And it's also really important if you do have domestic livestock to change and replace their water troughs daily. All right, so let's start with bacterial diseases. They mainly transmit enteric bacteria that can colonize and infect cattle, ruminants, pigs, poultry, and even humans. And a lot of you should remember these from microbiology. They can transmit E. coli. Up to 50% of starlings carry E. coli in their feces. And Campylobacter jejuni. Humans can actually get Campylobacter bacteria if they consume undercooked poultry or unprocessed dairy. All right, moving on to viral diseases. The two main categories are direct transmission and host transmission. So for host transmission, the number one would be West Nile virus. It's transmitted by mosquitoes and it can cause serious bad infections in unvaccinated horses. The mosquito lands on the starling, injects its infected saliva into the starling's dermis, and the bird acts as a reservoir host. And when it defecates, the feces can get into water sources, and then the horse drinks that. They can also spread Newcastle disease, and poultry can also spread Newcastle disease to starlings, so it's vice versa. They can both give that disease to each other. All right, the last one is fungal diseases, and I was only able to find one that was thoroughly researched, and that is histoplasma, which is a soil fungus. It's all over the world, but it's also commonly found in the United States. Airborne spores from fecal deposits can be inhaled through the respiratory tract, and it can cause lung disease and histoplasmosis in humans. And starling roosts, since they do tend to have large populations, they can accumulate a lot of fecal material in a very short amount of time. All right, and here is my bibliography slide. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I am looking forward to answering any of your questions. Thank you.